विजय शुरू करें।
स्टार्ट।
Namaskar and good evening to all of you.
Webinar call
to order.
I would like to Mr. Jyoti Poddar, MOC of this webinar, to proceed. Please, Mr. Jyoti Poddar.
Thank you, sir. The speaker of गणेश चतुर्थी के इस पावन अवसर पर गणपति बप्पा को सुमिरन करते हुए आज के वेबिनार को हम सब स्टार्ट करते हैं। आज के इस कार्यक्रम के हमारे मुख्य अतिथि झारखंड हाईकोर्ट की जज माननीय श्रीमती अनुभा चौधरी हमारे बीच उपस्थित हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट से हमारे बीच सीनियर एडवोकेट श्रीमती प्रेमलता बंसल जी भी उपस्थित हैं। उनके अलावा काफी सीनियर्स, पास्ट प्रेसिडेंट्स डॉक्टर अशोक सराफ सर एंड अदर मेंबर्स जुड़ चुके हैं। झारखंड स्टेट जीएसटी के एडिशनल कमिश्नर श्री आरपी बर्नवाल सर हमारे बीच में उपस्थित हैं। सेंट्रल जीएसटी के प्रिंसिपल कमिश्नर श्री एसके सिंह साहब, एडिशनल कमिश्नर श्री बद्री प्रसाद सर हमारे साथ जुड़ चुके हैं। झारखंड कमर्शियल टैक्सेस बार एसोसिएशन, झारखंड इनकम टैक्स बार एसोसिएशन के एडवोकेट्स, चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स एंड ऑल द मेंबर्स, आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार, जोहार। कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत में मैं सबसे पहले रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा हमारे पास्ट प्रेसिडेंट एवं सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सीनियर एडवोकेट श्रीमती प्रेमलता बंसल जी से, जो अपने वेलकम स्पीच से कार्यक्रम का शुरुआत करेंगे। मैडम प्लीज।
विजय मैडम को अनम्यूट कर दो ना।
Please. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes, please. Honorable Mrs. Justice Anubha Rawat Choudhary, Judge, Jharkhand High Court, Honorable Shri R.K. Banwal sir, Honorable Shri S.K. Singh, Principal Commissioner of CGST Jharkhand, Honorable Shri Badri Prasad sir, my dear brother Dr. Ashok Saraf, Senior Advocate and past President AIFTP, Mr. Pankaj Ghiya, Advocate Rajasthan High Court and Encyclopedia in GST Act, Shri Vivekananda Mohanty, Chairman AIFTP East Zone, Anand Pasari, National Vice President AIFTP, Shri Sandeep Gadodia ji, President Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association, Shri Subrata Das Gupta, President Jharkhand Commercial Tax Bar Association, Shri Jyoti Poddar ji, Secretary Jharkhand Commercial Tax Bar Association, Dr. Ranjit Padhi, Secretary Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association, H.L. Patel ji, B.P. Sinha sir, Vijay Kumar Verma ji, members of webinar host committee and NEC members, and my fellow colleagues. Friends, it fills my heart with unspeakable joy to welcome you all in this virtual seminar organized by All India Federation of Tax Practitioners East Zone, jointly with Jharkhand Commercial Tax Bar Association and Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association. Friends, time is like a flowing river, always moving. Magnificent 45 years of existence of the Federation have gone by. As we flip through the years, we find that the roots of the Federation have struck far and deep, and branches have spread over the entire country. In whatever city conferences or seminars are organized, all the local bar associations merges into one and creates a grand show. Friends, this is the unity in diversities. This is the true spirit of India and Indians. Friends, taxes are as old as civilization. Taxes are inevitable for a welfare state. It is a lifeblood of any government. Tax system of any country requires simple tax laws, easy to understand, easy filing of returns, early determination of tax liabilities, early trial, and early disposal of appeals. Step towards this goal was introduction of GST Act. In July 2017, one nation, one tax, 18 acts relating to indirect taxes got subsumed in one GST Act. But it is to retrospect and introspect as to whether this goal is achieved, whether in the guise of simplification, it has become more complicated. I think in the span of 4 years, so many notifications have been issued that the entire act has been reenacted. Moreover, the portal is not properly working. Glitches are still existing, and the real stakeholders are at the mercy of the system. But friends, in any case, we must realize that at the initial stage, teething problems are bound to occur. And I can only say that dharya ke phal meethe. Now, coming to today's subject, notices, summons, ITC issues, and arrests under GST Act, wide but most important subject. As per Honorable PM, government wants to place faith in taxpayers. Most of the returns, self-assessed and filed by the taxpayers, are now going to be accepted. Therefore, most of the statutes not only provide for the penalty, but also for prosecution to seek better compliance of law. What is enforcement proceeding? I am putting to myself only. The entire gamut of actions undertaken by the tax officials to curb the tax evasion is generally referred to as enforcement. The process mainly involves collecting information about evasion of tax, calling for documents, issue of summons, recording of statements, inspection, search of premises, seizure of documents, seizure of goods, detention of goods or conveyance, including those in transit, confiscation of goods, conveyance, etc. Section 67 of CGST Act deals with inspection, search, and seizure. 68 speaks of inspection of goods in transit. 69 deals with arrest. 70 empowers the authorities to issue summons to the person to give evidence or to produce documents. Section 73-74 deals with determination of tax, interest, and penalty. Then penalty and prosecution under section 132 and so on. However, the techniques, how to deal with summons and statements, confession, whether admissible in evidence or not, third party statement, what is the peculiarity of that? All these things I am leaving to our worthy speakers, and I am not indulging into those points. But friends, one thing is clear. It is a well-settled law, enunciated by even the Honorable Supreme Court as early as in the year 1969, in the case of ITO versus Seth Brothers, and had administered a word of caution that conducting search is a serious encroachment upon the rights, privacy, and freedom of the taxpayers, and therefore power of search must be exercised strictly in accordance with law. There are ample safeguards in our Constitution. Article 14, 19, 21. No person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except in accordance to procedure established by law. Article 22. Protection against arrest and detention. Article 265. No tax shall be levied without authority of law. Article 308. No person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. कहने को बहुत कुछ है friends, मगर समय की मर्यादा है. Friends, I would like to express my gratitude to Honorable Mrs. Justice Anubha Rawat Choudhary for becoming a part of this momentous event and make us feel a sense of pride. She is, my Lord, is an inspirational force for all of us, particularly lady professionals. Her words instill in us a sense of confidence, pride, and reinstates in us the faith that difficult can be done at once. I express my heartfelt gratitude to S.K. Singh sir, Banwal sir, for accepting our invitation. They are extremely affable and amiable, always ready to solve our problems. I am extremely grateful to other dignitaries for becoming a part of this virtual conference. We are hopeful that our problems, including the technical problems, would be solved. They will hear us patiently and make the path of GST smooth, easy, and saral, that we all together, taxpayers, tax professionals, and tax administrators, make the GST successful. With these words, I stop here. But before that, I must congratulate the administrators, the organizers, for organizing this knowledgeable virtual conference and wish them a success. Friends, I once again welcome you all and call upon to you all to build a nation full of opportunities and privileges. Friends, जब हौसला बना लिया है ऊंची उड़ान का, तो फिर देखना फिजूल है आज आसमान का. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the nice deliberations. We recognize the presence of our respected President, Shri M. Srinivas Rao sir, and Shri D.K. Gandhi sir, our Deputy President. Now, I would like to request our National President, Shri Rao sir, to have a few words. Sir, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Today is the great day of the Eastern Zone. First of all, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity for a good cause of the virtual webinar, which is relating to the GST. Particularly, the situation is going on very bad. Motto from the last so many days in GST. This will be addressed by today's speaker, none other than our own Shri Pankaj Ghiya. First of all, I congratulate him to addressing this keynote speaker of this noble event. I welcome the Honorable Justice Madam E.R. Choudhary, Judge Jharkhand High Court, and Guest of Honor Shri S.K. Singh IRS, Principal Commissioner of CGST, Jharkhand, Ranchi, and other my friends in the Federation and my colleagues in the Cabinet also. I listened Madam's speech very nicely. She has spoken, and the welcome speech is one of the good and excellent for the each and every member for inspirational speech. Madam Premlata Bansal, Senior Advocate, Past President AFTP. And I welcome all the organizers because constraints of time, all the organizers from my inner core of heart, Jharkhand Commercial Tax Bar Association, Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association, and All India Federation Eastern Zone, my chairman and the team, particularly Mr. Anand Basari, National Vice President. This GST seminar will enrich the knowledge of the members who have joined, more than 200 roughly, and YouTube link is also there. So many viewers are there. Like that, I don't want to stand before the speaker and other chief guest and guest of honor today. I welcome all the people for this excellent and grand seminar in relating to the GST. I also appreciate the Eastern Zone efforts for making all the webinars in virtual mode in various platforms, and as well as physical also some programs they have conducted. Finally, in future, there are two programs. One is at Katra, another is at Pune. There is NEC, NTCs, and all the members are requested to register in a large number and enjoy the program and take the blessings of Lord Ganapati at Pune and Ma Vaishnavi Devi at Katra. Thank you, the organizers, one and all. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Additional Commissioner Central GST, Shri Badri Prasad sir, to have a few words. Sir, please unmute yourself and advise us.
So please unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, sir. Please unmute yourself, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope I am audible. Respected madam.
Yes, sir.
Respected madam, all my friends and colleagues. As per the welcome note, the madam Bansal, she clearly stipulated, the GST is a more progressive tax. And second, there is a teething problem which is going on as of now. Yes, it is going on. And these are all the problems which are going to get sorted by one, because some of the problems were non-anticipated ones. Today, the topic which has been taken is an inspection, search, seizure, and arrest. This forms the section 67 to 72 of the Act, CGST Act. And these are offenses more or less related to: one is clandestine clearances, somebody collecting the tax and not paying to the government. Third one is fraudulent ITC. And fourth one is that is a repeated offender, as well as somebody who issues the invoices or the services without paying any duty, without movement of the goods. These are some 5 categories of offenses which basically are stipulated in section 132, on which basis we make, as an organization implementing the Act, we come up with something called a reasonable belief. This reasonable belief is more of an objective determination, what we do, and objective determination in the sense like it is on the basis of the documents or the reports, records which has been provided by the assessees themselves to us. On this basis, wherever we find we have our own parameters, we cross-check all those parameters, and we find that yes, these are the places where we might require an inspection, and these are the places where we might require a search. It is a possibility there, like in the sense there is somebody and the records have been suppressed or hidden, or some premises which requires a physical visit. So that is the reason we get into this provisions of section 67. Okay, and now the provision for inspection, search, seizure, and arrest are basically provided to protect the interest of the genuine taxpayers and as a deterrent for a tax evasion. These provisions are also required to safeguard government legitimate dues. Inspection, search, seizure, and arrest of the CGST Act deals with the provisions relating to inspection, search, seizure, and arrest. State GST laws also prescribe identical provisions in relations to these. Provision of inspection, search, seizure, and arrest, CGST Act, have also been made applicable to IGST Act via Section 20 of the IGST Act. Now, when it comes to inspection also, I mean, very first stage, what we do is an inspection that is only on the basis of a reasonable belief. Many times we issue a letter to a assessee. We are issuing a letter to the assessee. We are asking the assessee, yes, if these are the discrepancies we have found, this is the GST 1 return which you have filed, the 3B, there is a mismatch. If you can come and justify, the issue gets over and gets closed then and there itself. If many times assessees also don't cooperate, and then we start, I mean, we are trying to check the 2A, and from where we know that whether the credit is genuine or not. And from that, we go a little more back further. So this is the process which we follow. So once we come into certain amount, yes, there is some reasonable belief that there is an element of fraud in this, or element somewhere there is an issue where a government revenue, there is a spillage of government revenue. We then give a permission under Section 67. So this is basically like, it has been given to us level of an officer of joint commissioner and above. That happens to be a middle level management or more or less a senior level management. So which basically gives the permission. So a lot of pros and cons goes in that. There is no randomly, which has nothing been given. Though like, I mean, the initial speaker basically mentioned, I mean, that has been a very big issue. And it has basically like affects the fundamental rights where the protection has been given under Article 14, 16, and 21. Madam was specifically mentioning on that. But yes, but there is a lot of pros and cons on that. And basically, more or less officers are, I mean, they work with a great good faith, and they have been trained well for this purpose. Whenever they go meet an assessee, there is no kind of harassment. They speak to them very politely, and they are only, they're basically there into the business. They check only their prospects. I mean, this is the what my agenda is. This is what we are going to do. So this is the provisions. So I've been asked like to speak due to the constraint of the time. I mean, basically, I thought everybody understands what is inspection, what is search. So basically, like I thought, what is the process going behind these inspection, search, and all. So I thought, let me little elaborate, I mean, on those lines. So that is the reason I spoke about the reasonable belief, why we get into that, how we going to do that. Okay, so I would say thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Shri R.P. Banwal, sir, Additional Commissioner, State GST and Authority for Advance Ruling. Sir, please unmute yourself and have a few words for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quite good, sir. Quite good.
Honorable and respected Justice Jharkhand High Court, my respected Principal Commissioner Sir CGST, Additional Commissioner Sir CGST, my learned advocates. आज आपने जो टॉपिक रखा है सर्च नोटिस समन्स अरेस्ट एंड ITC, ये निश्चित रूप से GST में बहुत ही रेलिवेंट टॉपिक है। जैसा कि हम सभी जानते हैं कि GST सरकार के लॉन्ग टर्म फिस्कल पॉलिसी का पार्ट है, जिसमें हर वर्ग को मदद करने का है, चाहे वो कंज्यूमर का हो या फिर डीलर्स पार्ट में हो। कंज्यूमर में ये फायदा हो रहा है कि जहां पर इफेक्टिव रेट ऑफ टैक्स GST के पहले 26% से अबव था, आज वो 14% से नीचे आ गया है। सरकार की मंशा है कि इसे गुड एवं सिंपल टैक्स सिस्टम बनाया जाए, जिसमें इजी कंप्लायंस हो, जेन्युइन टैक्स पेयर्स को किसी तरह का हरासमेंट न हो। तो दूसरी ओर यह भी मंशा है कि जहां पर टैक्स इवेजन हो रहा है उस पर अंकुश लगाया जाए। इसीलिए सरकार द्वारा समय समय पर इस संदर्भ में डिफरेंट चेंजेस लाया गया है। सरकार का एकमात्र का उद्देश्य है कि सरकार सही टैक्स का पैसा सरकार के पास आवे और जेन्युइन टैक्स पेयर्स को या छोटे टैक्स पेयर्स को कम बिल्कुल परेशानी नहीं। आपने जो सर्च नोटिस समन्स अरेस्ट एंड ITC का रखा है, ये इस मामले में बहुत ही रिलेवेंट है और मैं सारे एडवोकेट्स को इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए मैं शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you, sir. Our special thanks to Shri Badri Prasad sir and Shri Barnwal sir, जिन्होंने आज सैटरडे के दिन डिपार्टमेंट की छुट्टी होने के बावजूद
रंजीत पाड़ी को अनम्यूट कर दो।
समय निकाला और हम लोगों के बीच उपस्थित है। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि सर कार्यक्रम के अंत तक हम लोगों के साथ जुड़े रहे। थैंक यू सर। नाउ I would like to request our Secretary AIFTP East Zone, Dr. Ranjit Padhi, to please read the profile of Honorable Mrs. Justice A.R. Choudhary. Dr. Padhi sir, please
Yes, Jyoti,
unmute yourself.
is it audible? Jyoti, is it audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you so much. Dear Vice Chairman of AIFTP Eastern Zone, Subratji, my dear younger brother and MOC of today, Jyoti, younger brother, National Vice President Anand Pasari, respected President Sandeep Bhai, respected Chairman Eastern Zone Vivek Bhai, respected Senior Advocate of Guwahati High Court, Dr. Ashok Saraf sir, and Senior Advocate of Rajasthan High Court, Pankaj Ghiya sir, respected National President M.S. Srinivas Rao sir, respected Commissioner of Commercial Taxes, Akansha Ranjan ma'am, Principal Commissioner CGST, Shri S.K. Singh sir, Additional Commissioner of CGST, Shri M. Badri Prasad sir, respected Prem Lata Bansal ma'am, and all my distinguished brother and sister participants of this webinar meeting. A grand namaskar and a good afternoon to you all. Firstly, I feel very blessed and privileged that I got this opportunity and proud moment of introducing our esteemed Lordship, Justice Anubha Rawat Choudhary, who is one amongst those empowered exemplary women of India whom for there is no limit to what they can accomplish as women. Our esteemed ladyship is a proficient personality with an intellect background, having a long list of achievements to her credit that are worth mentioning. Success stories easily win the hearts, and ordinarily it catches due attention, however short may be. Likewise, this brief introduction is: her ladyship got elevated as a judge of Jharkhand High Court on 6th January 2018, proving herself versatile in legal field apart from dealing with taxation matters. Born on 25th June 1970, schooled at Ranchi, graduated with physics honors from Miranda House and LLB degree from Campus Law Center, Delhi University. Her ladyship started her civil practice in 1995. Soon, taxation matters became her main focus that earned her a successful legal career. Her numbers of matters got reported in various law journals. She represented State of Jharkhand in writ petition number 408 of 2013 with analogous cases challenging the provisions of Jharkhand Entertainment Tax Act 2012. In Jharkhand High Court, she represented Union of India in various tax matters as Central Government Counsel from 3rd March 2015. She became a panel counsel for NBCC India Limited for tax matters, empaneled as an advocate to represent Jharkhand High Court in various cases from 14th March 2002. Apart from being a panel lawyer of Oriental Bank of Commerce, Bank of Baroda, Central Bank of India, Union Bank, and Allahabad Bank for a long time. Her ladyship remained a lady member of Jharkhand State Legal Services Authority, involved in a project of access to justice by poor and disadvantaged people. An amicus in many PILs, a founder member of High Court, Middle Income Group, Legal Aid Society, and many more likewise. I am told that Her Ladyship has also generously scheduled to attend the webinar on this subject on 16th and 17th February 2021, which shall be another privilege for us. With these brief words, I am highly honored to introduce our precious guest, my Lord, Honorable Justice Srimati Anubha Rawat Choudhary. Also, I am expressing my deepest thanks to all those who gave me this opportunity today. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now I would request respected madam to ensure her kind words and enlighten on the subject. Ma'am, please.
My humble namaskar to all of you. Shri M. Srinivas Rao, National President, All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. Dr. Ranjit Padhi, Secretary, AIFTP East Zone. Shri Anand Pasari, National Vice President, AIFTP and Secretary, Jharkhand Income Taxes Bar Association. Shri Subrat Dasgupta, President, Jharkhand Commercial Taxes Bar Association, Comm Vice Chairman, AIFTP. Shri Jyoti Poddar, Secretary, Jharkhand Commercial Taxes Bar Association, who is also the coordinator member in Indirect Taxes Committee, AIFTP. Shri Pankaj Ghiya, Senior Advocate, Rajasthan High Court. Dr. Ashok Saraf, Senior Advocate, Guwahati High Court. Madam Premlata Bansal, Senior Advocate from Supreme Court. Shri Badri Prasad, Additional Commissioner, CGST. Ms. Akansha Ranjan, Commissioner, SGST, Jharkhand. Dr. R.P. Barnwal, Additional Commissioner, SGST, Jharkhand. Various dignitaries who have joined this webinar, all members of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, Jharkhand Commercial Taxes Bar Association and Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association, senior advocates, chartered accountants, officers of state and central government, persons from print and electronic media, and other dignitaries who have joined this webinar online. A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm really delighted to have been invited for this webinar on the most widely contested subject under GST, that is notices, summons, ITC issues, and arrest under the Act. A webinar on this topic was the need of the hour. Taxation has been very, very close to my heart, and I feel at home when I join a tax seminar or a webinar. I congratulate the organizers of this program to have conceived of this idea of organizing this webinar to apprise the persons dealing with the subject about the problem, possible solutions, and way forward, which would be a step towards nation building. Each one of us have queries on the subject matter of today's webinar, be it tax practitioner or authorities involved in levy and collection of tax or the SSCs. No law can be understood without its background. The massive shift from the earlier indirect tax regime, whereby more than 14 taxes were subsumed under the GST Act with the concept of one nation, one tax for the taxpayers, is not an ordinary event in the history of India. The GST regime in India has been modeled after consideration of the many foreign jurisdiction laws and practices on the indirect taxes. GST regime in India has put India on global map with regard to indirect taxation. The world is looking how is and how will India advance with GST regime. By now, we have covered 4 years of implementation of GST. And I was initially of the view that substantially teething problems is over. But hearing the predecessor speakers, I feel that teething problems are not yet over. And I think that we are at the stage of ironing out the procedural issues in the matter of GST compliances, both from the side of the SSC and the tax enforcement officers. Article 265 of the Constitution of India provides that no tax shall be levied or collected without authority of law. So the protection is not only in the substantive law, but also in the realm of procedural law. So procedures are extremely important. The shift in the tax regime may also involve shift of mindset not only on the foundational concept of indirect taxes, but also on the technological aspect of compliances under GST. GST being substantially a different law, which is destination-based consumption tax on supply of goods and services, which is collected at each stage on outward supply of goods and services as per the statute. It allows seamless flow of credit of GST paid through the country or throughout the country on inward supply of goods and services if such inward supply is used for furtherance of business subject to restrictions specified in the statute. This being the ultimate aim of implementation of GST, we have still to go a long way to fully achieve this in reality. One of the most required steps to see GST implementation in full swing is full use of GST portal as per the provisions of the Act and the rules. And I think that steps should be taken at all levels to ensure that the GST portal becomes robust and fully functional. The advent of GST involves huge shift towards use of technology. And as Madam Bansal has already pointed out that the portal is not working, this is a very sad state of affairs. And I'm sure that the authorities will take appropriate care to ensure that the portal works. As per the mandate of GST, every compliance is to be done through online portal, be it from the side of the SSC or from the side of the tax enforcement authorities. The use of technology in GST is revolutionary, but we need to update and upgrade ourselves in technology to have its real fruits. If the use of technology in GST is implemented in letter and spirit, there would be much more transparency and more tax compliances, which will certainly lead to more revenue and ultimate reduction in tax rate. Mr. Vanwal has already pointed out that there has been reduction in tax rate, but I think we need to go further more on this. In fact, on account of tax evasion, the honest taxpayers are practically paying for the tax evaders as well. The optimum use of technology will certainly plug tax evasion. Right from the stage of filing of returns, claim of input tax credit, issuance of notices, communication of orders, and all other interaction between the taxpayers and the tax implementing officers is routed through the portal. If the portal is fully used, the moment the tax implementation officer opens a portal of a dealer, he will have the entire profile of the dealer at one place, which will help the officer to have a close watch on the dealer in the matter of various compliances and also his past records. This will also avoid issuance of multiple notices from different authorities, that is authorities under SGST, CGST, and intelligence wing for the same cause of action. Once any authority finds in the portal that the show cause notice has already been issued by one or the other authority, he would refrain from issuing the same from his end and save time, energy, money of both the SSC and the department. If the show cause notice is issued through independent email communication, the other competent authority would never know and issue another show cause notice on the same issue. This may also lead to conflicting orders on the same cause of action, causing embarrassment to the department and harassment to the SSC. Moreover, everything done online leaves a footprint and cannot be erased so easily. In coming years, we will witness artificial intelligence being used to monitor the notices and their compliances and adjudications. Such use of technology is already under consideration under foreign jurisdictions. The second aspect which we all should be concerned about is the quality of the show cause notices. Vague notice is no notice in the eye of law. Vague notice results in vague reply and vague order, which are bound to be successfully challenged. The notices should substantially comply with the prescribed format and should not be mechanically issued. We have witnessed the quality of show cause notices issued by the Central Excise and Service Tax authorities, which contain the minute details of the allegations with all supporting documents, statements recorded, etc., and high quality adjudication. These good practices are required to be shared with the authorities under CGST as well as SGST, and en masse training is required in this line. For this, a request may also be made to the State Judicial Academy of the respective states, because they are meant to train people in the line of implementation and execution of various laws. Non-receipt of notice is another point. As we are aware, whenever a notice is sent through portal, a parallel intimation goes through email as well as through a message in the registered mobile. We need to upgrade ourselves in information technology as well as in the matter of electronic evidence, which may include a read report to ensure that there is no gap. Communication of notices are required to be proved as per the provisions of law, and mere statement that the notice was issued is not sufficient. In fact, the reply, etc., should also be uploaded through portal to leave no gap and no space of any complaint of backdating, interpolation, and manipulation. I'm sure the learned speakers would address this issue in their deliberation in details. So far as input tax credit is concerned, there are a lot of issues to be considered and deliberated upon, and the various issues in connection with claim and entitlement of ITC are subject matter of consideration before various authorities and courts, including High Court and Honorable Supreme Court. Some of them are relating to restriction of claim of ITC under Section 16(4), whereby ITC can be claimed till the date of filing of September return of the next financial year. The other is denial of ITC to recipient of goods and services under Section 16(2)(c) of the GST Act, which provides that no registered person is entitled to the credit of any input tax in spite of supply of goods or services or both to him, unless the tax charged on the supply has actually been paid to the government either in cash or through utilization of ITC. This provision creates more complication when it is found that the vendor has generated fake invoices, and further complicate when the invoices are found to be fake by one or the other at the stage of long chain of input tax credit. The other issue could be the rectification of or adjustment of state GST, central GST, and integrated GST paid under wrong heads. The matters relating to transitional credit on account of technical glitches or some other reasons are still live issues. Blocking of ITC is another litigated field. Till now, the issue of transitional provision, particularly regarding ITC, has not been finally settled. Different kinds of issues like problem of technical glitches, transitional credit of tax deducted at source under the previous regime, etc., are pending consideration at various levels and are live issues. So far as arrest under GST is concerned, it is well known that instances of GST evasion, tax fraud, and fake invoices are on the rise, and different views have been taken by different high courts in connection with the power of arrest under Section 69 of CGST Act. Most of these arrests arise due to tax evasion on account of fake invoices without actual supply of goods and fraudulent availment of ITC, commonly known as circular trading, who has committed an offense, and persons can be even arrested who have committed an offense under Section 132. The threshold monetary limits have also been provided. In case where the tax amount involves more than 5 crores, the offenses are also classified as non-cognizable and bailable, and in such cases, the bail application could be considered by judicial magistrates only. The arrest provisions under GST have also witnessed constitutional challenge. So far as summons are concerned, they are very, very important steps in tax administration. Summons are the mode to seek information, documents, and other things under GST law. This process provided to the administration should be diligently used, and it should never be made as a tool to disturb the normal functioning of the taxpayer and waste their time and money. So far as the issue and concept of proper officer is concerned, the same is also subject matter of consideration in live issues. In one of the recent judgments, though in the context of customs law, in the case of Canon India, the Honorable Supreme Court has passed an order. A person who is summoned is legally bound to attend either in person or by an authorized representative, and he is bound to state the truth before the officer who has issued the summons upon any subject which is the subject matter of examination, and to produce the documents. Summons can also be issued to persons of other states for appearing as per the procedure prescribed under the CPC. Section 136 of CGST deals with relevancy of the documents, relevancy of the statements which have been recorded upon issuance of summons. The consequences of non-appearance of summons is also very serious. If a person does not cooperate and does not appear, then the provisions of Order 16 of the CPC can be invoked, which includes attachment of property. I have just given an idea as to how vast the subject matter of today's discussion is. I must say that the heads, that is notices, summons, ITC issues, and arrest, each is itself a good for the whole day seminar. I'm sure that the esteemed speaker would cover up as many practical problems and as possible, such that the deliberations may guide the SSC, their consultant, and the officers of the department, and they work in cohesion to achieve the larger goals of implementation of GST and be a part of New India. It is well known that GST is designed to ensure more tax compliant citizens plug tax evasion, which will ultimately reduce the rate of tax in future. With this, once again, I must thank the organizers of this program to have invited me to be a part of this program. I wish you all a grand success and learn a lot more during the deliberation in the seminar. I want to continue to be to remain throughout the seminar and hear the speakers as well. Thank you so much and Jai Hind. Namaskar.
Jai Hind, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your kind words. You have elaborated the subject in a very detailed manner. We expect and believe that the authority will keep in mind while issuing notices and summons under the Act. And we also assure Your Honor that we will try our level best while complying the notices and summons issued by the department. Thank you, ma'am. जब इस पेंडेमिक में हम सभी घर पे बंद थे, अपने चेंबर, अपने डिपार्टमेंट को छोड़कर, उस हमारे श्री विजय केवल रमनी जी ने AIFTP को एक नया प्लेटफॉर्म दिया, वर्चुअल प्लेटफॉर्म, और उनके एफर्ट से ऑनलाइन वेबिनार पिछले 1.5 सालों से लगातार हो रहा है। अब तक सैकड़ों वेबिनार्स हो चुके हैं, जिसमें डिफरेंट एमिनेंट स्पीकर्स आ गए। समय समय पर हम लोगों को इनलाइटन किया है राजस्थान हाईकोर्ट के एडवोकेट श्री पंकज घिया साहब ने। आज वो हम लोगों के बीच में उपस्थित हैं। मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा AIFTP ईस्ट जोन के वाइस चेयरमैन श्री सुब्रतो दास गुप्ता जी से, रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा श्री घिया साहब के प्रोफाइल को रीड करें। थैंक यू। श्री Gupta sir, please unmute yourself and read the profile of Shri Ghiya sir.
वैसे घिया साहब को तो इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है, फिर भी मैं 2 शब्द उनके लिए कह देता हूँ। सर, श्री Pankaj Ghiya sir is an advocate having professional experience of over 32 years in the field of indirect taxes matters. He is a founder of Ghiya Legal, the firm which provides complete solution in all taxation matters. He has delivered more than 2,000 lectures over most of the cities in India and is also a regular attendee of various studies courses on sales tax, VAT, CST and GST conducted by AIFTP, FICCI, Chamber of Commerce, ICAI, RTCA, TCA and other forum as group leader and coordinator. He has been Secretary General of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners 2018 and National Vice President of AIFTP in 2019. Immediate past President of Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association Rajasthan, member of Tax Authority Committee constituted by State of Rajasthan Government, past President of Tax Consultant Association Jaipur, Additional Additional General Secretary of 40, that is Federation of Rajasthan Trade and Industry, Chief Editor of AIFTP Indirect Taxes and Corporate Laws Journals, Secretary of Tax Consultant Association Jaipur since 1995 to 1997, President of Jaipur Junior Chamber in 1993, Deputy Chief Editor of Tax World, a monthly tax journal 2002 to 2007, General Secretary of Rajasthan Tax Consultant Association from 2005 to 2007. Sir has written various books of Rajasthan VAT and also written 5 books of GST. His today's deliberation with definitely enlightens us and enrich our knowledge. May I request Sri Ghiya sir to please enlighten us with the experience. Please, sir.
Thank you. It's a privilege for me to be here on this platform. AFTP is my mother body, and it's a privilege today on a Saturday afternoon we are having a get together, though not virtually, not physically. I am obliged to my Lord, Honorable Mrs. Justice Anubha Choudhary, ma'am, for her kind consent to be the chief guest of this webinar, and more so by her speech. All the litigating points of the today's topic has been covered by her, and in fact she has hit to the core of the problems which the GST and in the practical aspects we are facing about the notices, the summons, the surveys, and the input tax credit, particularly the restrictions placed by section 16.4 and 16.2c. Many writ petitions are pending already in the different high courts on these subjects, including the transitional credit and other issues. But those are the issues which would be partly covered. I totally agree with ma'am that the subjects are so vast that I would be just brushing through those subjects and covering the practical aspects only, because those subjects are a topic in itself is a topic which can take many hours to discuss and to have a deliberation, full deliberation on that. Friends, Mr. M. Srinivas Rao, the National President of AIFTP, Mr. Satyanarayan, the Secretary General of AIFTP, my dear friend, Mr. Anand Pasari, the young, vibrant and energetic National Vice President of East Zone, Vivekanand Mohanty, one of the, most active chairman of the all zones in AIFTP this year, and continuous trying to organize one event or the other, Mr. Ranjit Padhi, Mr. Sandeep Gadodia, and all my senior officers from the CGST and SGST departments, my senior Madam Premlata Bansal ma'am, all my other seniors, friends, ladies and gentlemen. GST is a subject where we always think what to do next. One or the other problems always comes into face by us. We always want to know what will happen. The actions by the department sometimes correct or sometimes very abrasive. And when we go to the courts or to the other modes by filing of replies and other things, we find that everything we are doing is being faced by a problem because the portals are not working. We thought when the GST came in 2017, it has subsumed all the taxes. So we believed in the one nation, one tax concept. But then the problems continues to arise. And then there were some solutions. Some were genuine good solutions. Some were genuine, ad interim solutions. And the department or the government, because they had no clue. This is like the current income tax portal problems. The portal is launched on a sudden given day without even testing. And the test is done on the taxpayers. And if the taxpayer falter, there are penal and prosecution provisions. But if the government falters, nothing done. Further time is granted to the portal creators. And again, the sufferer are always the taxpayers and the tax professional. Though sometimes we feel that this is one side of the view, but sometimes this side of the view is very important, because once you feel that there are evasions, once you feel there are arrests, once you feel there are notices and you are not able to reply. Why? Because the portal is not working, or because the provisions are such wherein the taxpayer has nothing but to believe on the other person. And particularly when we discuss about the GST, all the problem is created from section 16, which is input tax credit. And input tax credit, because every time we purchase anything, the flow of credit comes to you, because you have to, as per the provisions of law, make a payment. And the payment is not of the goods, the payment is also of the tax. And tax, what can you take the precautions? The precaution you can take while purchasing a goods from a person, from a registered person, is go to the GST portal, check it whether that person is genuine. The portal would show that he is genuine. Then check it whether he is active or not. The portal would show he is active. Check it whether he is filing the returns or not. The portal would show that he is filing the returns. And then you purchase the goods from him and he defaults. You pay the tax to him because there is no other mechanism under the GST. You cannot pay the tax of the goods purchased by yourself except if it is under the reverse charge mechanism. So you have to pay the tax to the person who is registered by the GST portal. And if he doesn't pay the tax, then the provisions of 16(2)(c) applies. The provisions of sometimes 16(4), though there is a, I would say, a negligence of both the purchaser and the seller on that part. I would be covering that topic, but those are the things. Then the bogus bills and other things, because all these things would be covered in my presentation. I would say sometimes the client comes, sometimes the assessee comes and asks, sir, what to do? We cannot purchase, we are dependent on the portal. We are verifying everything. We are making the payment through bank. We are making the payments through cross check. But ultimately, the liability comes to us. And who is the ultimate sufferer? The genuine dealer. All the bogus persons, they evaporate. They are fly-by-night operators. They go, they evaporate, they are not catchable by the department. And who is catched? The last purchaser, who is a genuine dealer. And then the litigation starts. On a single transaction, 10 times notices are issued, 10 times tax is being levied, 10 times the credit is denied or accepted. And then ultimately what we find, we have to go into massive litigation. Sometimes arrests are made if it crosses the threshold. Sometimes the arrests are not made. But then we will have to see what happens. But before that, let us come to the basics. And we can start with the basic. I would be starting my PowerPoint presentation. So we are talking about search, notices, summons and arrest under GST. These are 4 major subjects, and I would be starting with the relevant provisions. Already some persons has talked about it. The relevant provisions are section 67 to 74. And I would be going a little bit fast on certain aspects, because 67 is power of inspection, search and seizure. Now this is the basic thing from where everything flows. The summons, the notices, the order, the appeal, the arrest. So the proceedings start from section 67. Friends, we have to understand one thing. There is a massive shift from the earlier VAT, service tax, excise era in the GST. Now, previously what was happening was that inspections and search and seizure was being conducted. Notices were being issued time and time again. We were submitting the documents and those things were going on. Now the concept has changed. The concept of summon has come. I don't know whether the concept of summon is correct or not, because each and every time, without specifying any reason, the summons are issued. And what is the nature of summons? I would be talking about when we go to the summons, because those are the most misused thing which we see. But before that, let us see 67. What are the basic recitals of section 67? 67 talks about that a person, not officer, not below the rank of joint commissioner can direct. Now that is a good thing, but joint commissioner, if we discuss, the power should have gone to the commissioner or chief commissioner, because with the change in the hierarchy, earlier joint commissioner was like the second person in command in the department. Now he is a rung below, and in fact he is one of the adjudicating officers also. So the summons, the notices are issued very frequently for the surveys and all. But you have to understand why an inspection is being made. One of the earlier speakers was talking that we have a reason to believe we do investigation. Yeah, that is correct. And that is some because of this faceless thing, because of the online filing of the returns, because of the online availability of the data, because of the online sharing of the data from the income tax department, the other departments, and including the AIR, that is information reports from the banks, from the property market, from other things. Now the complete data is available. So we have to understand that the previous time has gone. Previously, everything was manual. Previously, the data was not available with the department. Previously, the department could not have a matching mechanism from where you are purchasing a good, from where a assessee is purchasing goods, from where the assessee is selling the good, whether the payments are made through bank or not. Those data were not available. And now the data is more than data mining. They have abundance of data. So they have the data from where you had purchased, and that seller from where he had purchased, and that seller from where he had purchased. So they can go 4 times up the chain and 4 times down the chain. Anybody who is a defaulter in that long chain, if there is a chain of say 8 persons, from 8 persons the goods are flowing through, passing through or moving through. If one of the person is a defaulter, ultimately the default would come to the ultimate person. And all persons who are genuine dealers will suffer. And why they would suffer, I would be coming to that point when I would be taking specific instances about that. So when the inspection starts, how can the inspection start? There are these 5 major reasons: suppression of transaction of supply, suppression of transaction of stock in hand, warehouse kept goods which have escaped tax, excess claim of ITC, and contravention of any of the provisions of this act. I am not taking much time through the provisions because already we are all aware of these provisions, and we are day in day out talking about these provisions. So now the search. After the inspection comes the search. There is a conversion sometimes from the inspection to the search, and sometimes there is a direct search. So when the search comes, there is a warrant which has to be seen. There are officers, there has to be presence of 2 witnesses. The panchnama has to be made. Panchnama of the documents and the goods, if they are separate, those things have to be seen. Sometimes, my friends, when we were talking, we were working as a tax lawyer. People were not understanding the importance of the presence of witnesses. People were not understanding about the importance of the panchnama. People were not understanding the importance of the documents or the computers or the hard drive or other things seized. But then all these things become very important for the simple reason from where they are seized, whether the search was at your business premises, whether the search was at a third-party premises, whether the search was at your residence, whether the documents were seized from your custody or from other person's custody. All these things becomes very important when we go through the proceedings as per they come. If the transaction value is less, sometimes the importance becomes less. But if the transaction value becomes more, these technical issues becomes very important. And therefore, we have to understand that we should be very careful when we give, we should be very careful in educating our clients, in informing them about the proceedings which can be done during the search operation, and what type of statement, what type of actuality they have to do. Suppose they are taking statements, suppose the statements are taken, actual statement should be given. But if you are coerced into some specific statements, then the coercion or retraction or denial should normally be mentioned at that time itself when you sign those documents. Suppose you are not able to do it, there are pressures, there are actual pressures where you cannot do it, then a retraction can be filed, and for that we have to educate ourselves. We have to know what is the importance of the statement, what statement was given, and if the statement was right, it is okay. But if the statement was taken under duress or coercion or physical, most of the times, what are the problems? A team comes, there is a go down, you have, say, 1 lakh liter of oil, 5,000 boxes of a specific product. The team comes and randomly write, you got 4,50,000 boxes, and you agree to sign. Now that becomes a problem later on. In 2 hours, can a team come and count 5 lakh boxes or 5 lakh liter of oil? Can it be measured? And if you sign, then you are admitting it. And so these things we have to be understood. It is not the client who is at fault. He is at fault for a little thing, that he was under pressure, duress or caution, that he had signed. But when he comes to you, it is also your duty that you should be abreast what to do next. And that is where we have to understand that immediately when a person comes and contacts you, you should be aware of the provisions, what type of provision, what type of statement, what type of physical sheet had been prepared, what type of panchanama had been prepared, and whether the panchanama was correct or not. If it is correct, no issues. Then we go on through the legal proceedings. But if it is not correct, if there is a coercion, if there is something which needs to be done, do it immediately. Don't wait. Don't wait for the notice. Don't wait as in the earlier times we were waiting for the notice, because the notice would never come. The next thing what would come, I would be coming to that. Next thing is summons. Now, that is a massive shift from the earlier era to the new GST era. Earlier, after any inspection, survey, search, anything, the second recourse was an issue of notice, asking you to explain why, asking you to produce certain documents or produce certain informations, or showing, asking you to show cause what you need to do or what you need to explain. But now everything has changed. This summon is the unbridled power in the hands of the department, I would say. And this is the power by which sometimes the assessees, the clients are being harassed, sometimes they are being pressured, coerced, and sometimes they have to accept what the department says. You would say, I'm talking very, one-sided, but these are the practical things which we have to understand. What is a summon? And what is the difference between a summon and a notice? Now, notice you could have appeared through your lawyer or a chartered accountant or a tax practitioner. But in summon, your physical presence is required. The summon is normally issued in the name of, if it is a company, the department knows how you will come into pressure. So they issue in the name of the chairman, the managing director, the CFO. If it is a partnership firm, they will issue it in the name of the partner. If it is a lady partner, everything goes. If it is a proprietor, then the summons are issued in the name of the proprietor. Now, though it is written in the summons and in the provision that you can appear either yourself or through your authorized representative, but in practically aspect, they don't allow other person. Even if you submit, even if you give the details, they don't allow. Now, when a summon is issued, a thing was mentioned that there has to be something explicit mentioned in the summons, why the summon are being issued. But the thing is, when a summon is issued, the only and only thing is that they mention is to tender a statement. And to tender a statement instantly after search. In the search also, the statement has been taken. Instantly after search, to tender a statement, they are asking the managing director, the chairman, the CFO to come. They don't know about the practical aspects, practical working of the company. The accountants, the auditors, the accounting staff knows about the rate of tax, about the real working of the company. And from there, the thing starts. We sometimes feel when the summon comes, apart from the summon, in the summon they mention to tender statement, and along with it they also mention to produce so and so things, to produce so and so things, and they give 3, 4, 5, 7 list of documents or details which has to be submitted. That is okay. That is the power which is being given in the CGST Act or the SGST Act, and you have to cooperate with it. You have to legally abide by it, and you should abide by it. But someone is such a feared word that most of the time the owners, I would be using the word owners for the simple reason that it covers the proprietors, the partners, or the chairman or managing director of the company. They fear it. And the first recourse is they come to the consultant and say, sir, pehli baar to tarikh le lete hain. And then we will see what to do, what details have to be submitted. We will prepare the details. But you have to prepare the details, but it is better to go and appear before the department. And that is my advice to you always. Normally, when a client comes and he asks that the summon has been issued, what to do? As a consultant, I had come across many persons who always say, take an adjournment and we will see it to the next date. And I totally deny it. I am totally against it. I always say, go appear before the authority, go appear before the officer and state whatever he wants to ask. Answer the questions, whatever he wants to ask. And if you are not able to answer, just simply state that, sir, I don't know about this answer. I will inform you after I consult with my juniors or colleagues or my accounting staff or anything. But answer truthfully. Sometimes when this happens, most of the consultants wants a 1 or 2 adjournments. Friends, you have to understand this is a changed time. After the second summon, the authority can take a drastic action. And why to attract that drastic action? It is always better to comply with the summon, to appear before him, to give a statement and say truthfully. If you don't know something, a managing director is not required to know what accounting entry is being passed. A managing director is not required to know what type of accounting entry is being done, whether the payment has been done or not. He is not required to know. He can always say, I would submit the documents. But then the second question comes, because now this is why this problem arises is because earlier, in the earlier times, GST, CGST, prior to GST, the advocate or chartered accountants were dealing with all these notices. The owner was not aware or not bothered about it. Now the scenario has changed. Second thing comes, sir, you have to accompany us in the summons. As an advocate, as a chartered accountant, you have to accompany us to give us moral support, to give us legal support before the authority. You go before the authority would say, no, the summons has been issued to a particular person, Mr. XYZ, and therefore we will take the statement of that person. And you are not allowed to sit in the same room. What to do? Whether a professional should go or not, that is a very important aspect. I always say my personal view is, and my personal view is why I would be explaining it a little later on. But my personal view is that in all these cases, a professional should not go along with the client. He should depute his team. The team may go. The team would sit outside the office chamber of the concerned officer. The statement has to be given by that person. But there is something which we have to understand, whether there is a right or not for a legal practitioner to be along with the client at the time of taking the statement. Now, there are contrary judgments to that. I would be coming to those judgments in the later part of my speech. But sometimes if you are present, anything said which is not correct, you cannot retract it. Any statement taken, sometimes under pressure or not, you cannot retract it later on. So you have to give a double thinking whether you want to be present at the summons. But the story does not end here. The story starts from here. And why it starts from here? Because once a summon is there, you go and appear. You give a statement. Next time also a summon is issued to you. And when next time the summon is issued to you, you come to the consultant and ask, sir, I had gone to the officer, given the statement as per his choice. Why is he asking me again? He should have issued me a notice. If he has come, whatever I wanted to say, I had said. Whatever I did not wanted to say, I did not say. He should have issued me a notice. This is where the department is not clarifying anything. The statements are taken 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Summons are issued time and time again, and we are not contesting it. We are not filing writ petitions before the High Court. We are not agitating the matter to the superior officers of the department that, sir, the summon has been issued. My client has appeared on so and so date. He has given his statement. Why again for the same thing, same search, same instance? Why again the summons are issued? Why again the client is being asked to present himself? And that is only to coerce the client, coerce the person to admit whatever is being asked by the department. And that is where the role of the professional comes into picture. Because unless and until we file a representation to the superior officers, we file a request to the superior officers, or we file a writ petition before the court, those practice would not stop. Nowadays, the concept of notice has evaporated. There is no notice. Only and only summons are issued. Sometimes if one of my client has filed a right to RTI, and you would be surprised that in all these search cases, the bogus bill cases, the classification cases, the non-tax deposit cases, only and only summons are issued and the proceedings are kept pending for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year. We talk about the bills, non-payment of tax. No, I had not come across one single assessment order in the last 4 years, except the summons. The assessment is not done. The concept of tax procedure has evaporated, and that was very well dealt by Honorable Mrs. Justice Anita Sumant of Madras High Court in a landmark case, where she said that tax matters cannot be solved with summons. You have to first assess. You have to first create a liability whether there is a liability to tax or not. And only then the arrest or quantification on the basis of that arrest or other proceedings can be done. But that is not being done. Only the summons are issued only on the basis of the person who is doing a search. He says that I have evaded the ITC of said 10 crores. The arrest is made. We are not given to submit any reply to that assumption. No notice is issued even before coming to that assumption. And only on that assumption the arrest is made. We are produced before the competent court. The competent court, normally what I had felt before, up to the level of the High Court, does not give bail. We are in the jail, the client is in the jail. In the High Court, we appear, argue the bail, we submit that these are the documents. Sometimes the bail is given, sometimes not. That goes on the merit. But that goes again the principle of natural justice. Because only on the assumption, he said that you had purchased the goods from Mr. X and he was fraud, therefore you are liable to pay tax. He is not saying that I am fraud. And we are not contesting before the courts, before the authority, sir, whether he was fraud or not, but you check whether we had paid the tax to him or not. If Mr. X is fraud, this is like आपके यहाँ चोरी हुई है, चोर की जगह आपको पकड़ लिया कि आप जो हैं, क्योंकि आपके घर में माल था इसलिए आपने चोरी करी. Sometimes these are things which we have, and these are the summons where no notice are issued, only summons and summons and summons are being done. So friends, I just wanted to point out your attention. If a repeated summons are issued for a repeated same cause, it is for you, for the consultant like us, to agitate the matter before the competent authority, before the higher authorities or before the court. And you file everything, reply online also, send it by mail. I totally agree with my Lord's statement that there has to be a digital footprint for everything. And for everything, when you submit it physically, it is always advisable to file it by mail. We as a practice always suggest first send a mail and then submit it physically to the authority, because he cannot refuse whatever you have sent on mail. And that is what the new generation concept is. We have to understand. Now, you say, I was telling that, sir, no notice is issued. Yes, friends, no notice is issued. The provisions are section 73 and 74. 73 is non-willful. 74 is willful. That is the difference between 73 and 74. If the proceedings are under section 74, then section 17.5 ITC is restricted. But if the proceedings are under section 73, then it is non-willful. But this is again a wonderful concept. They say it is non-willful, but penalty is automatically attracted under section 122(2). Even the department is saying it was not malified. Even the department is saying it was not willful. And what type of cases can be such? Suppose I am paying tax on a commodity at 5%. The department comes and say, for any reason, sir, it is not taxable at 5%. It is taxable at 12% or 18%. It is a legal dispute. It is a dispute of interpretation. It is a dispute where different advance rulings are there, where different courts have given different judgments. So it is not willful. Everything is reported in the books. It is reported in the returns. But they say, no, sir. Penalty would be leviable. Why? Because it is not willful, because the difference tax is being levied, the interest is also being levied, but penalty, because it is mentioned in the act that even for a non-willful offense, if it is considered as an offense, the penalty would be leviable. And this is what we have to face. I would be coming to 73 and 74 a little later, but I would be coming why the search and inspection comes. And these are the reasons. I had just given you the glimpse. What were the provisions of section? What were the provisions relating to search, summon, and notice? 73 and 74 proceedings. In the case of all these things, what I have mentioned, what are the reasons of search and inspection? I had not come across one or two orders also. For the bogus bills, the mastermind chain, the discrepancy in data, genuine transaction, all these things. For the classification, you see AAR, that is advance authority for ruling. Every state has one advance authority for ruling. And there are almost 30 states in India. Every state is giving different view. You had gone through in the paper about the rulings of paratha and the roti. So some state says the paratha is exempt, some state says the paratha is taxable, some state says that roti is exempt. So all these things comes. Now the government is again thinking, after 4 years, they came to a conclusion that multiple AAR of the same thing, it is better to have one separate central authority for all these type of advanced rulings. Because if you go to the advanced ruling, that is not my subject today, 99.9% judgments are against the assessee. It is a, open secret, I always say. It is an open secret that if you file a application for advanced ruling, you are ready mentally that it would come against you. Because I had not come, I think if you go through the Taxman site or the Manupatra site or any other online site, no advanced ruling which is in favor of the assessee comes across to you. And that is the reason, because of that advanced ruling filed by some other person, and that comes against or at the higher rate, there are the classification issues and the search and inspection creates. And those are the major issues. The intelligence and complaints that were earlier done. Earlier, the complaints were there for the search and inspection. आपका पड़ोसी complaint कर देता था, आपका पुराना मुलाजिम complaint कर देता था. There were some complaints from some competitors, but that had gone now. That thing has evaporated now. The bogus bill. Now, that is the reason for the arrest by each and every things. And that is the only work, I would say, the department is pushing it on the dealer. Now, what is a bogus bill? The department always say it was a bogus bill case. What do you understand by bogus bill? Bogus bill, whether a dealer who is registered on GST portal, if he issues a bill, whether that can be said to be a bogus bill. Whether a bogus bill can be said if the goods are supplied, but he had not paid the tax, whether that can be said to be a bogus bill. Whether a person who has supplied the goods, but the movement of goods cannot be proved, whether that can be said to be a bogus bill. No, or whether the person who has supplied the goods, but from where he had purchased the goods, that is a person upper in chain of the supplier, that person becomes bogus. Whether his purchases become bogus and consequently his sale to me become bogus, whether it can be termed to be a bogus bill. Now that is something which we have to understand. And that is where the provisions of section 16(2)(c) comes into picture. The department says unless the tax is paid through input tax credit or otherwise, the credit will not be given. On the contrary, now the department under Rule 36(4) says the credit would be available only if it is reflected in GSTR 2, it is matched in GSTR 2A of 105%, the credit would be given. But the department does not know that they are not able to get the procedure correct through their GSTN portal of GSTR 2, which was originally envisaged in the law. They are not able to, till date, after 4 years, GSTR 3 could not be generated. And if these things had been done, the concept of bogus bills, the harassment to a genuine taxpayer could not have done. Yes, I am aware. Some persons, there are miscreants everywhere. Some persons has created bogus forms. They had issued the bills, not supplied the goods. They had simply transferred the credits. But who is the culprit? It can, एक पुरानी कहावत है, ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. The culprit cannot be assessee only always. A person who has purchased the goods after verification from the GSTN portal of that dealer after 4 years, even after initiation of proceedings against him, I had come across almost 70 cases where the proceedings had been initiated against a dealer, stating that he is a miscreant, he is a person who is dealing in bogus bills, but his registration is still active on the GST portal. Even after proceedings have been started against him for last 2 years. If his registration is still active, what a genuine person who is purchasing today can create. It is like you go to a market, purchase a TV today, and you get your name mentioned in the bill for availing credit, and that TV, that showroom person does not pay the tax, he evaporates. You are liable to ask, you are being asked for the payment again of the tax. Can that be possible? There are series of Supreme Court judgments by various high courts that if the transaction is genuine, if there is no collusion, if there is no malified intention, if there is no interlinking, the credit cannot be denied only because the seller has not paid the tax. But that is, alas, that litigations are going on. Though earlier we had a Arise India judgment in the earlier VAT era, those judgments are still being considered. Those judgments, the matters are still before the honorable courts, and we are arguing day in, day out about these things. And those things would be, the law takes time. It takes time, and the judgments would start coming, I think, in a year or two. And you will see that 16(2)(c) has to be considered in a different way, because a person who is not interlinked, who is not colluded with anybody, who is a genuine taxpayer, he cannot be penalized for an offense of a third or fourth chain person. And that we will have to discuss. So I had given you the reasons of search and inspection, but let me come to the reasons why the show cause notices are being issued nowadays. These are some of 8-9 reasons which I had collected and discussed, and I would be just touching those points. That is late filing of GSTR 3B but interest not paid. This issue more or less has been covered. But then if the notice is issued under section 73, you friends, you must be aware that there had been an amendment in section 50. And that amendment in section 50 says that if you have input tax credit, but the GSTR has been paid late, then that would be considered and no interest would be levied. But there is a rider in that. And the rider says that if a notice has been issued under section 73 or 74, that amendment would not help you. Now, I am not talking about 74. 74 talks about malified or fraud intention. But 73, it is non-willful. It is non-malified. It is non-fraud. But that has been excluded. And that is again having a major effect. And that has to be considered. Now, one of the funniest thing which is happening is ITC availed, mentioned in excess, and reversed in subsequent months. Friends, this is something why we are not able to understand, and most of the clients would be issued this type of notice day in and day out. Why this is coming? I have filed 3B. Now that is a summary return. In that 3B, by mistake, my operator, because we as a consultant normally do not file returns. The staff is filing the return. The staff is giving the details. He files 3,000 to 30,000 or 30,000 to 3 lakh. 3B cannot be revised. Once filed, it becomes a gospel truth. It cannot be revised. And if it cannot be revised, you realize the mistake and correct it in the next month. Because that is the only availability thing. And that correction can also be made if there is some ITC, because that has to be not reported. That turnover, suppose the turnover is 50,000, you write 5,000 by mistake, or you write 5 lakhs by mistake. What would happen? You have to correct it in the next month. And if suppose in the next month there is no turnover, you cannot correct it. Then you have to go to the next month and next month and next month. You file one another return, that is GSTR1. 3B is, when it was introduced, it was only a summary return, only to cover the lapses of the GSTN portal, because they were not able to do 1, 2, and 3, GSTR 1, 2, and 3 returns. But now the department comes to think, sir, you are eligible to take input tax credit of 30,000. You had punched 3 lakhs. On 2,70,000, though you had not availed it, it was simply a punching mistake. You could not correct it immediately because 3B is not correctable. Only because of the punching mistake, you would be liable to interest for 1 month or for 2 months or for 5 months, till the time you had reversed it through not mentioning it in the next GSTR 3B. And again, the funniest part, Section 122(2), the penalty of 10% of tax. So 30,000, you were by mistake mentioned 3 lakh. The difference was 2,70,000. For the 2,70,000, you would be reversing it in the next month because you have no correction facility, but you would be liable for a penalty of 10%, that is 27,000. Nothing can be done. And that why? Because the GSTN portal is not working till date for that. The third thing is outward supply in GSTR1 shown correctly, but in 3B shown less, the show cause would be issued. Bogus bill SCN, stating that purchases from Messrs XYZ and bills are bogus. Sir, you had purchased some goods, your client has purchased some goods from XYZ. As already stated by me, you had verified everything, you had paid by check, you had all the movement data, all the e-way bills are there, everything is there. But he has not paid the tax, or he has said his supplier is bogus, or he becomes bogus. You are again liable to pay tax. And that is something. And unfortunately, if that bill's value goes, the tax value goes beyond 5 crores, you are arrested. Why? You had shown the purchases, you had shown it in the returns, you had not even hid it in your returns. It is not a case where the purchases are not shown. You had reflected it in the returns. But the person, the other person from whom you had taken those supplies, he says, oh, sir, I am bogus, I had no tax. The input credit utilized by me in paying that tax was bogus. You become liable. Either you deposit 5 crores immediately, or you are arrested. And then the rigmarole starts. ITC difference in ITC amounts in GSTR 2A and 3B. Now this is really fantastic thing. And this also goes to section 16.4 riders. Section 16.4 says that if you have to claim ITC, you can claim all ITC within 6 months of the close of the financial year and up to the filing of the returns of the month of September. So technically it becomes 20th October. I had purchased the goods from XYZ. There are 10 suppliers. And I took all the credit. Suppose the credit was 100. As per 2A, it says only the eligible credit of 105% would be allowed. That is rule 36.4. Now, 100, if I had taken a credit, I have to take a credit for the simple reason, because if I had not taken a credit, that credit would lapse and the bar of section 16.4 would apply. The department issues you a notice that you had taken a credit of rupees, say 1 lakh in a year. But only 80,000 tax credit is reflected in 2A. 20,000, that is, people had not deposited 20,000 rupees. Therefore, you reverse it. I said, sir, my liability was 70,000 only. 10,000 credit is extra. 80,000 I have claimed 1 lakh. 80,000 is reflected in your portal and it is genuine even as per the department. How can I reflect 20,000? Because that would be reversal wrongfully, and they are taking support of provisions of section 16(2)(c). They say, why do you have taken the credit? I said, if I had not taken the credit of that 20,000 rupees, you would have denied me the credit under 16(4). Suppose out of that 20,000 persons, they deposit the tax after 6 months or 1 year on the prodding of the department or on my prodding. If I had reversed it, the credit would have gone. If I don't reverse it, the department is at my back. If I do not take it, section 16(4) rider is there. If I take it, notice is issued. These are the anomalies where the department has to come to a line. I am taking credit, but I am not availing it. I am not utilizing it. I am utilizing only the credit which is eligible as per rule 36(4). If I don't take a credit, जैसे आपने किसी को उधार दिया, उसने इस महीने नहीं चुकाया, तो हो सकता है वो 2 साल बाद चुका दे. आपने कोई केस किया, सिविल कोर्ट में केस किया, कोई पुश किया, किसी से मेहनत कराई और वो 2 साल बाद पैसा दे दे. उसी तरह से हमने जो माल खरीदा, जिसका पैसा हमने दे दिया, we have to take a credit in our books, because if we don't take a credit on our books, it has a reversal impact on our profitability under the Income Tax Act. If we suo motu deny it, then the effect on the income tax, that GST department is not counting. And my friends, we have to understand that any action taken by us in isolation should not be done. I had come across many circumstances where a client comes, sir, I had purchased only 2 lakh worth of goods from Mr. XYZ. Now the department has issued me a notice saying that that person is bogus. So the tax effect is only say 40,000 rupees. What to do? My consultant has advised me कि सर 40,000 का मसला है, क्यों डिपार्टमेंट से लड़ाई करते हो, जमा करा दो. And actually that should be the concept. If the amount is petty, it is better to deposit it. But then if you deposit it, the income tax provision of section 271 AAD comes into picture, and it says that if a bogus bill is accounted for and you admit it, then that transaction value would be added as your profit. And you, apart from addition, you would be liable for penalty under section 271 AAD. I said, but you want to close the issue, na? Yes. So go and say, I am ready to deposit 40,000, but I say that the goods had been received only to buy peace of mind and not to contest with the department. I am depositing this 40,000. The department say, nahi, aapko likhna padega ki no, the goods had not been received and the bill is bogus. Now you are in a quagmire. You are in a quagmire for the simple reason you want to close the case, but you cannot close the case with the same wordings. And those things, friends, we have to understand. Those are the practical aspects. Don't see only the GST provision. There are notices being issued by ED on the same point. And so sometimes a thing which is very small, lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh rupee, people are there. People don't want to fight for it. They don't want to take a tussle from the department, but they cannot settle it even. And because of, and you see, there is an body which exchanges information. You don't think if you settle it, the information would not be exchanged. The information is exchanged. So that is something which we have to see. Always guide a client. Say we want to deposit it, but without admitting it. That is a better recourse for what we have to do, because for a petty things, it is better not to fight and deposit it with the department. 16(4), we had already talked a lot of things. Now registration cancellation. Now this is really something which we don't understand. Why the department is so adamant about it? Now they had opened the registration cancellation window, the revocation window, which we say. After much persuasion, you had purchased the goods from XYZ. His registration is cancelled. Now you are denied input tax credit. What is your fault? You had purchased it. Both the persons are genuine. He has not filed 2 returns. He has not filed returns for 3 months. His registration is automatically cancelled and your input tax credit is automatically disallowed. And if he wants to go and file revocation application, now that revocation application has a limitation. In 30 days, it has to be filed. Now, friends, in India, we are going to a digital age very fast. My Lord has stated that the service is very important. Service of notice, service of order, service of information is very important. In this area where the most of the small people are illiterate or very little literate or over and above the age of 35, 40, who are not very proficient with the digital technology. The portal says there is on the portal there is a window called show cause notices and summons. It has been uploaded there, and from there the time limit has started. In income tax, there are multiple mails asking you to show cause, informing you that show cause notice has been issued. Even the SMS are there. Even the SMS are given to the some professionals also, because there is a window where the professional name and numbers are also registered. Here, no SMS, no mails. And the revocation is there, the cancellation is there. And what can be the effect? The business comes to a halt. Ek aadmi, the registration is PAN based. And when the registration is PAN based, only on the basis of that PAN, you can take registration. Once your registration is cancelled, the second registration cannot be taken. Second registration is not advisable for the reason that input tax credit of the earlier one could not be transferred to the second one. And for the last 6 months, we had fought. Number of writ petitions had been filed in various courts. Now the government has heard on the representation. They had given a new window for the revocation, but only for a limited period. Sometimes the limitations things or the delayed change in these digital age, we have to understand all people are not digital literate. Now a new trend has also come. For the appeal, you have to file it in 90 days. The condonation can be done only for another 30 days. Suppose you did not file the appeal in 120 days. You cannot file an appeal. You are remediless. Why a restriction on limitation? Let the court decide, let the officer decide, let the appellate authority decide whether the appeal can be filed after 1 year or 2 years, because he will see whether there was a genuine cause or not, or there was a reasonable cause or not. But now even on a condonation, the limitation is there. And then we have to take shelter of the honorable courts under Article 226. But that is also not easy for a small taxpayer. It is really costly, and there also problem arise. And in the meantime, all these input tax credit, because one cancellation of registration, it affects 100 dealers. Then the last one of the last points, additional income in P&L balance sheet during other inquiry. Now, friends, we have to understand now the GST. If you have taken a GST registration number, all type of income which is reflected in your computation of income under income tax, they become taxable unless and until they are specifically exempted. So unless and until they are exempted, they become taxable. So sometimes people don't understand, wo rent nahi dikhate, but they have taken a registration. So residential rent is okay, that is exempted. But if commercial rent is there, One of my client came to me, सर मेरा मकान तो रेजिडेंशियल है बट उसमें एक है ना कॉर्पोरेट ऑफिस चल रहा है, तो रेजिडेंशियल रेंट ही कहलाएगा, बिल्डिंग इज रेजिडेंशियल. But the provision is that if a commercial activity is going on, that it would be taxable, and people don't understand it. So my dear friends, sometimes when we ask the dealer to file an annual return, I ask them, "Ki bhai, bring your income tax computation also." He says, "Mr. Ghiya, are you mad? You are filing GST return and you are asking for income tax computation. That is not really your cup of tea." But that is, my friends, you also make it a habit. Always when you file a return or annual return, always check the computation, because if there is any other income in the computation which is taxable, even the exempt income has to be shown technically. So those things are there which we have to consider. Then post-sale discount. Now this is one of the funniest things which have arisen in recent times. आपको मालूम है एक सैमसंग ने एक स्कीम निकाली कि भाई आप 100 मोबाइल बेचोगे तो 2 मोबाइल फ्री. ये डीलर को एक इंसेंटिव था. इट इज लाइक टर्नओवर डिस्काउंट्स और सेल्स प्रमोशन डिस्काउंट्स और स्पेशल इंसेंटिव्स. नाउ द डिपार्टमेंट कम एंड से कि इफ इट इज अ प्री सेल डिस्काउंट अंडर सेक्शन 15(1)(b) of the IGST Act, or it is a pre-agreement discount, only then it would be allowed. Otherwise, it would be considered as a service from the dealer to the manufacturer, and it would be taxable. The schemes are, people don't understand, the schemes were different. But if it was not visualized, there was not a running contract, then it can become a service from the dealer to the manufacturer, and it could become taxable at the rate of 18%. So everything depends on the wordings of the contract and wordings of the agreement between you and the manufacturer or the supplier or the wholesaler or the distributor. And the last one of the litigation point, provisional blocking of ITC under Rule 86A. Massive litigation is being done on it, and it is done randomly by the authority. They have power for 1 year to provisional blocking of ITC, and they don't issue a notice also. People come to know about the blocking of ITC when they go to their electronic credit ledger. And why the ITC is blocked? They got information, suppose from third party, that you had purchased the good from XYZ, he is supposed to be bogus. No order, no notice, nothing, a provisional blockage. Many other reasons. It is like, hampering a business, because the business runs on a wafer thin margin. If you deny an eligible credit, ITC is a vested right of a dealer. ITC is not something which is at the mercy of the department. It is a vested right of the dealer. And you cannot block it simply on, a very, very, very small reason. And then you file an application, nothing is done. The commissioner do not consider it, the chief commissioner do not consider it. You run from pillar to post. And if you do more, a summon is issued to your managing director. And friends, sometimes you feel a summon to a managing director, say, of a company or a proprietor or a partner for a small reason. It was not envisaged. These type of powers, this is a routine thing. This is a business. If you do business, there would be some hiccups. If you do business, you are not running away from the department. For everything, the owner cannot come, because if he sits in the department, who will do business? That has to be understood. It has to be business friendly. And why cannot there be a video conferencing? Why cannot the documents and things first have to be asked? Only at the last end the statement thing should arise, but that is not done. At the first thing, the statement things arise. So you have to see. So it is a boxing match. I always say it is a boxing match between the department and the assessee, and these bogus bills, ITC. Now these bogus bills, ITC, these are subjects if I go into a nitty-gritty of it. But alas, I would always say, what is the fault of a purchasing dealer who is disclosing everything? Who is disclosing everything? He is being caught. Sometimes, they are, for the bogus bill, they are issuing notices to 10 different persons. I was arguing a bail application before the Honorable Court, and I asked that, sir, for the same transaction, they had issued notices to 4 different dealers, and they had recovered part of the amount from 4 different dealers. In fact, the amount recovered from 4 or 5 different dealers is more than the tax amount itself. And they are continuously issuing the notice to each and every person in the chain. Whether that can be done? Is there any accountability for it also? Or there is any mechanism? Because it is only because of the failure. Otherwise, if there was a confirmation of GST 2 or 3 as envisaged in the original GST, these things would not have come. These fly-by-night operators would not be there, and the genuine taxpayers who had paid the tax are being asked again to pay the tax with interest and with penalty. And if not being done, they are being penalized like anything. So something has to be done. So non-payment of GST, mismatch of invoices, refund claim of exports, all these things, they have to be considered in a different light, not considering that always the dealer is an issue. Now this circular bogus bills chain, circular chain. There are 3 different categories which we have to understand. There is a dummy form, there is a circular trading, and there are bills sold. Now, whether in all these cases, there is an offense or not, we have to consider, because it is like a chain from A to B, B to C, C to D, and from again D to A. Now, in a dummy form, A is a dummy form. He sold the bills to B. B in turn sold it to C and C to D. So A was the real beneficiary who did not pay the tax to the department, admittedly. B was part knowing it. But C and D, they had purchased the goods from B or D from C. And they were not aware. C and B were the genuine dealers. C and D were the genuine dealers. And they are still in business. They are still doing business. How can they be penalized for it? But the chain goes to 3 or 4 times. In a circular trading, now the recitals in section 16 are that apart from the bill genuineness of the dealer, there has to be a movement of goods. Now, what is movement of goods? In a same city, how can a movement of goods can be proved? That is something which we have to consider. The time is short. I am getting reminders, so I would be rushing through it now. Consequences. The consequences are pressure to pay the tax and interest, forced admission statements, reversal, and then we have to see what is the incomplete accounting or loose papers. But the recourse is very important. And for the recourse, we have to understand there our expertise comes into picture. The summons and reply to the summons and notices should be drafted carefully, precisely, denying or admitting or stating or clarifying or explaining each and every point. All the supporting documents should be enclosed which support your cases. Whatever is clear, if there is a mistake, if you genuinely came across a mistake, it should be admitted and the difference should be paid. But if there is not a mistake, it is not required. Then you have to submit your explanation. Statements. There are 2 statements. One is taken at the time of search or survey and the other is through summons. In case of statements, you have to be very cautious. You have to be very precise. If you do not know, say I don't know. You have to guide your client what to say explicitly, say clearly, and it should not be ambiguous and it should not be unclear. Any pressure, anything, if wrong statement is given, it is better to retract it. And retraction should be done at the earliest. Always person comes to me and says, sir, when can I make a retraction? Retraction can be on the same day, on the another day, even 7 days or 15 days. But retraction should be clear. And why retraction is made, it should be clear in a form of an affidavit. Restriction in the ITCs are there. I would be just skipping and then coming to the last topic, arrest. Section 69. We had already talked about the arrest. Why the arrest is made? It is mainly because of this ITC. And ITC reason is mainly because of non-functioning of the GSTN portal. Also, there is one reason, the fly-by-night operators. And I would say, a person who is doing bogus billing case, we should not protect him. A person who is a fly-by-night operator, we should not be in connivance or in collusion or in support of him. But if a dealer is genuine, if he has purchased it correctly, if he had shown it in the books, then we should fight it out along with all the legal and technical details with the replies and all supporting things. So friends, you have to understand the nuances of the act. And nuances are very important because everything flows from section 16. And those section 16 are to be understood. We had already aware that if there is an offense of ITC of more than 5 crores, it is cognizable and non-billable. For that, the remedy is through the judicial courts, and the remedy has to be taken. You have to make your case in a manner where you have to show that it was genuinely you are not the culprit. And the culprit, who is the mastermind, is a person who is sitting at the top of the pyramid. And from the pyramid, the chain flows. The genuine person sometimes is arrested. Sometimes the people are also hand in gloves with them. And in those cases, we have to be very cautious in dealing. A person came to me, I would give you an example. One of my friends quoted me. For a GST registration, normally a person charges 5,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, or whatever it is. A person came from outside and said, sir, I want a GST registration. One of my friends who are practicing on the compliance side of the GST said, okay, we'll get it done. We will require the following document. Sir, I would give you 2 lakh rupees, but all these documents are not there. As soon as these type of things come, you should know that he is not a correct person. Anything which is not normal is always where the doubt arises. And when the doubt arises, it is our duty as a professional to clear the doubt and not be colluded, not be in collusion or colluded with him. And I always say, friends, the genuine taxpayer is being suffered because of the workings or lapses of a very, very few person. Technically, the creation of demands on a genuine dealer who has acted genuinely in the course of business is not correct, but we have to fight it out. And we have to fight it out in accordance with the law, giving all the details, and we should be aware of all these technical things. These are some of the judgments, because I am already exceeding my time by 15 minutes. I am just not talking about it, but this is the Jayachandra Alloys case of the Madras High Court, where Honorable Mrs. Justice Anita Suman has very elaborately dealt this topic about the assessment, and without quantification or pre-assessment of the tax liability, how a summon or a arrest can be made. And it has been considered in detail in this judgment. There are some judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court where the interim bail's reasons and why not has been there. But one thing which also I just want to put out is the sometimes now the department is also proceeding against the professionals, and that has become a big bone of contention. And there is a judgment of Akhil Krishan Mangu of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, where there was arrest made of a professional, and the Honorable Court, after detailed discussions, had held that if a professional is acting in a professional capacity and is not involved in the business, he cannot be made an accomplice in such matter. So those are judgments which we have to consider. I am simply saying that, friends, these are list of judgments which are there. This PPT has already been sent by me to the organizers for circulating in all the text groups, so that you can have this material with you always and you can remember it. But I am grateful to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. I am most humbly grateful to my Lord, Honorable Mrs. Justice Anubha Choudhary ji, who has very patiently heard me. I may be wrong many times. I always say I may be wrong many times, but I say some because of the practical aspects. I try to cover all these practical aspects in a different way and try to have a theory or interaction with my tax professionals. I apologize if I had made any wrong comments.
It has been a great pleasure listening to you. And I was trying to figure out the SSC's perspective in tax litigation.
My lord.
And it is very important for a judge to know as to what is the perspectives of both the sides.
Yes.
So it is great. It has been very enlightening.
Thank
I
you.
hope that all the problems get resolved at the earliest.
Yes. So with these words, I convey my thanks to the organizers and conclude my deliberations.
Many thank you, sir. The clumsy provisions of GST have been explained in a very simple manner, and I believe that all the participants have been enlightened with your words. There are few queries, sir, by our participants. If you permit, may I read?
Jyoti ji, some queries have been sent by you to me.
Yes,
if
sir.
you permit, I can go through and answer those queries.
Yes, sir. Please.
So the first query sent by you is, due to suspension or cancellation of registration, goods seller unable to show B2B sale in GST are one of these customers. After 1-2 months, buyer review their registration, but he is unable to claim ITC of purchases as his supplier not shown B2B sales. When the registration is revoked, he would be able to file GSTR1, and on the basis of that GSTR1, the credit would be available to you. But the section, the writer of section 16(4) comes into picture. If you had not shown the input tax credit in your purchases, and it is that period has elapsed, then it would be a problem for you.
Sir, there is a small doubt.
Yes.
Say my registration has been cancelled with effect from 10th May 2021.
Yes.
And today, the proper officer is restoring my registration and with effect from 10th May 21 itself, not from the date of restoration. And can we say that under such situations, all our transactions are valid since our registration have been restored from the date of cancellation itself?
Yes, that is what I am saying. Because, but for that, for the outward supply, he has to file GSTR1 return. And unless and until he shows it in the GSTR1 return, it would not reflect in your GSTR2 and 2A.
Yes, sir.
So unless and until your supplier upload the details, you will not be able to get the credit of it.
Thank you, sir.
The second thing is, with my sincere respect, I want to put a small question regarding issue of notice. Now we face so many problems for ex parte assessment and bank attachment in this corona period. Section 74 says issue of notice by proper officer in electronic mode. But section 169 clearly elaborates 6 mode of notices, out which third mode is electronic mode. Is it justified for a proper to forego the first 2 modes and directly jump to the third mode? Friends, you have to see section 169. The opening words of section 169 says any decision, order, summon, notice or other communication under this act or the rules made thereunder shall be served by any one of the following method. So it is not saying that you have to go in a serial mode, that after first you have to go to the second or third. You can serve it by any of the mode. So all these modes are applicable. But friends, you have to also consider rule 142.
Yes, sir.
And rule 142 says that the proper officer shall serve the notice in electronic form in DRC 01. And then rule 142.4, it says that that electronic form has to be uploaded electronically. So it has to be uploaded on the GSTN portal of the assessee. If it is not uploaded on the, if it is only given electronically, and electronically can be done by mail or SMS, but if it is not uploaded on the GSTN portal, it would not be considered to be a valid notice. I had argued this case in the Madhya Pradesh High Court recently, a year back, and I won that case. The judgment is Akash Garg versus Union of India, where the Honorable Court has held that if a mandatory condition is made that the notice has to be uploaded electronically, it excludes all other conditions.
Right, sir.
So Akash Garg judgment may be seen of the Honorable Madhya Pradesh High Court. In that case, I had the opportunity to argue that case. The third question is, the reimbursed amount is separately charged in the bill and invoice of the item purchased is sent to the company. My son entered into a contract with a company in England. He is providing software services. We got GSTN and applied for LUT also. Payment is made in US dollars. Now the company has decided to reimburse rent paid and some other expenses like for health here in India. What is the status of taxability of reimbursed amount? If it is covered under the export invoice under the LUT, then it would be, if it is covered as a consideration, then it would be exempt because export, the provision of IGST applies and there would not be taxable. But for the reimbursement, it would create a problem because only and only pure services are exempt as a reimbursement. And what is pure services? Pure services is defined under the GST Act as reimbursement of statutory charges. So anything statutory charge is paid by me. For like as a consultant, if we do some registration and the statutory charges are say 2,000 rupees. So we charge in the bill 2,000 rupees for the reimbursement of the amount paid on the government portal and say 5,000 rupees for our services. The tax would be leviable only on the 5,000 if it is a chartered accountant, not for an advocate, because we are a privileged lot as under RCM. So I would simply say if it is not covered under consideration, it would be an issue and tax liability can arise on it. The last one query is, an exporter assessee selected for GST department audit under 1718, 1819. Finally, department has issued memo for non-payment of GST and RCM. The client mainly export goods under LUT and get almost full ITC. Now, this is really a problem. And this is a problem because of section 16.4. The departmental audit comes after 4 years, 3 years or 5 years. They go and audit and they say on some transaction we had not paid the tax. It was under RCM. We agree we agree that by mistake we had not paid the tax and we pay the tax with interest. But because we had not claimed the credit in the time limit of section 16.4, now the credit cannot be claimed. So it is a double whammy. You are paying tax, you are paying interest, and you are not able to claim input tax credit. So it is a double whammy, and this is only and only because of the restrictions placed in section 16(4). This is being challenged in many petitions before the court. That is all with me. Now you can take the queries.
Sir, there are a few questions in the chat box.
Sir, you can repeat, I can answer. That would
Yes,
be
sir.
easier for me.
Sure, sir. Sir, one question is from Mr. Santosh Kumar. Sir, any judicial pronouncement related to late fee on nil final return after cancellation of registration?
No, there is no direct judicial pronouncement for that. But there was an amnesty scheme announced by the government about the late filing fees on the returns. So he must have taken the opportunity of that amnesty scheme.
Yes, sir.
And the late fee was drastically reduced.
Yes, sir. So the next question is by Mr. Ashok Thakkar, and his question is whether credit available on insurance of shop, employees and vehicle for business purposes.
Yes, it is for furtherance of business, because section 16 says all credit would be available for furtherance of business. So anything which is directly linked to the business, so the insurance for the shop, for the employees would be eligible for input tax credit.
Yes, sir. So there is no other query right now. So can we conclude?
Yes. I again thank you everybody for giving me this opportunity. Highly obliged to everyone. And especially to ma'am for her guidance. Thank you, ma'am.
Our special guest, Dr. Ashok Saraf, sir, Senior Advocate, Guwahati High Court, and past President of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners, are with us. I request our National Vice President AIFTP East Zone, Shri Anand Pasari ji, to please read the profile of Dr. Ashok Saraf, sir.
Respected ma'am.
Speaker of.
Sorry, there is a technical problem. Respected ma'am, respected past President Srimati Premlata Bansal ji, and all other dignitaries whosoever are over here, my professional colleagues, friends, and seniors, and also the officers from the department, CGST, SGST both. It is a privilege for me to read profile of our most beloved elder brother, Dr. Ashok Saraf. इनके बारे में क्या कहें क्या ना कहें समझ में नहीं आ रहा, क्योंकि इनके बास्केट में इतनी चीजें हैं, इतने दमखम हैं कि हम कहते रह जाएं और समय भी गवा नहीं देगा, कि समय हमें इजाजत नहीं देगा कि हम कंटिन्यू बोलते चले जाएं। लेकिन फिर भी ये हनुमान निधि सेवा ट्रस्ट के चेयरमैन हैं, को ऑथर हैं रूल्स एंड ऑर्डर्स ऑफ नॉर्थ इंडिया असम जे के मैनुअल इन्होंने बनाए, स्टैट्यूट्स बनाए, असम पुलिस मैनुअल का इन्होंने उद्घाटन किया और इन्होंने बनाया, असम फॉरेस्ट मैनुअल इन्होंने बनाया। ही वाज एडवोकेट जनरल ऑफ गुवाहाटी हाई कोर्ट एंड अरुणाचल प्रदेश हाई कोर्ट। He was past president of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. ये अपने आप में एक जीती जागती संस्था है. इन्होंने AIFTP के माध्यम से और इतना बड़ा कोविड फंड इकट्ठा किया और लगातार वो हेल्प कर रहे हैं, और उनमें हम लोग सबको इस कदर शामिल किया जिसकी मिसाल कोई भी बार एसोसिएशन नहीं दे सकता. हम लोग सब दे सकते हैं कि किस तरीके से इन्होंने मदद किया. इनके फादर लेट जस्टिस BP सराफ, he was a legend of legal luminary. ये इनके लोग दो भाई हैं, डॉक्टर अशोक सराफ एंड डॉक्टर वीरेंद्र सराफ. He is practicing in Guwahati High Court and Mr. Virendra Saraf practicing in Mumbai High Court. और इनके बारे में क्या कहे, बोलते चले जाएंगे, समय बीतते चला जाएगा. May I request Dr. Ashok Saraf to please give your deliberation, sir. Over to Dr. Ashok Saraf. ज्योति कनेक्ट करो.
रन भाई है नहीं डॉक्टर साहब.
I am sorry, because of some technical glitches, sir could not be connected. We are trying.
Okay.
May I request Honorable Mrs. Justice Srimati Anubha Rawat Choudhary to please give concluding remarks.
It has been a great pleasure to hear the key speaker, a real learning experience indeed, and very enlightening. And I must tell you that all these kind of programs are great service to the nation. And I'm sure that some proceedings sheet will be drawn and the matter will be taken up at appropriate level, such that at least the GST portal should become robust and fully operative. And I'm sure that that will solve some of the problems which is being faced by all. And now the tribunal under the GST is also going to be set up. So all tax practitioners will have robust work to be done. Now the matters in the High Court, certainly the burden will reduce to some extent and we'll have more views. I really enjoyed it, and thank you for inviting me. It was really very good.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
We are also thank you to Pragya Choudhary, who in a very short span of time has uploaded the judgment of Honorable Madhya Pradesh High Court, which our respected keynote speaker Shri Pankaj Ghiya sir was referring. We are really thankful to Ms. Pragya Choudhary. Now we are at a final stage of our program, and I would like to request our senior member Shri H.L. Patel ji to please give vote of thanks. He is our past president of Jharkhand Income Tax Bar Association, as well as Jharkhand Commercial Taxes Bar Association, and he is a national executive member of All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. Mr. Patel sir, I would like to request to kindly unmute yourself and give vote of thanks.
Today's chief guest, Madam Justice Anubha Rawat Choudhary, Judge Jharkhand High Court, Madam Premlata Bansal, Senior Advocate, Supreme Court, officers of the department, Shri Pankaj Ghiya ji, Advocate, Rajasthan High Court, Vivekanand Mohanty, Chairman AIFTP Eastern Zone, Anand Pasari, National Vice President, Dr. Ranjit Padi, Secretary General Eastern Zone, Presidents of JITBA and JCTBA, all the participants virtually present in this conference. Shri M. Srinivasa Rao, National President AIFTP, and Shri D.K. Gandhi, Deputy President AIFTP. It's my privilege to propose vote of thanks in such an educative and well-organized webinar by the organizers. On behalf of the AIFTP Eastern Zone, I thank Honorable Justice Madam Anubha Rawat Choudhary Judge Jharkhand High Court, who out of her busy schedule spared time to be the chief guest of the webinar and with her word of wisdom enlightened the participants. My thanks goes to all the officers of the department who enlightened us on the provisions of the CGST and SGST Act. My thanks to National President and Deputy President who spared their time to join this webinar. I am really thankful to the speaker, Shri Pankaj Ghiya ji, who enlightened and thoroughly educated all of us on the burning issues of notices, summons, ITC and arrest under the GST Act. We every day face that type of problems, and I hope my brothers and will have learned how to tackle this problem. My special thanks to AIFTP past president and our mentor, Dr. Ashok Saraf. I will be fail in my duty if I am not thanking Sri Vijay Keval Ramani and Mr. Ravi from headquarters, who has given us the technical support for concluding this webinar. I am sincerely thankful to all the participants who have joined all over the country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
May I leave now? Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Now the program is concluded.